Welcome to Coffee and History, a conversation with Alabama Heritage. We are your hosts. I'm Rebecca Mender.
I'm Susan Reynolds.
And I'm Caroline Gazera-McKenzie.
Join us as we sit down with some of the most fascinating figures in the Alabama community. Over a hot or cold cup of coffee, we hope to entertain you, inspire you, and educate you with some of the captivating tales of Alabama. Today, we are taking our podcast on the road. We're in Opelika, Alabama at the Alabama Historical Association, and we're really excited to be here, and we're thrilled to have you with us. And before we introduce our guest, listeners, we have a little segment called Did You Know? And in this segment, we have a fun and surprising, sometimes it's a fact that we may not know, you may not know, and it could all be news to all of us. So I was going to ask you ladies, did you know that Auburn University had a long pioneering history when it comes to co-ed education, and in 1892 it became the oldest university, the 4-year co-educational institution in the state of Alabama.
I actually knew a little bit about that just from previous work, and so I think it's so fascinating.
That is so cool. It's like the second oldest co-ed college in this entire southeast region with Spring Hill.
Yep.
Spring Hill College is in Mobile, by the way, and it holds the distinction of being the oldest. But this is really awesome. I am really excited, and also because our next guest is from Auburn.
She sure is. Maiben Beard has been with the Auburn University's Carolyn Marshall Draughon Center for the Arts and Humanities since 2008. She also curates and interprets the historic 1847 Scott-Yarbrough House. Maiben holds a bachelor's in art history with a minor in anthropology from Emory University. Please welcome Maiben Beard.
Woo!
We love Maiben.
Welcome, Maiben.
Yes, one of our favorite people.
Thanks so much for being here, Maiben. We're so excited to have you.
Gosh, thank you for having me.
Well, the first thing we're going to ask you, Maiben, is how did you get your name? I'm absolutely obsessed with the name Maiben, but I'm so curious as to how it came about.
So it's a family name. I was named after my grandmother. She was Maiben Beard. But then she got it from, it's an ancestor surname, so who came over from England, was in New York, and then came and settled in Alabama near Monroeville. And so there's some Maibens in Monroeville.
That's amazing.
That's really cool that you were able to trace that back all the way.
It's a beautiful name. I mean, you're the only person I know in the
Yeah.
universe with that name. So,
There are not many of us out there.
is there a Maiben club? Have you found like other Maibens around the world?
No, I mean, I'm related to a few, but sometimes I'll Google Maiben every now and then, and yeah, some pop up, but sometimes it's a last name. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
we're out
as
there.
yours originated. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Excellent. So, Susan had mentioned that you worked at the Scott-Yarbrough House, and I know that originally those were your offices until you built a new facility right next door. So, I just kind of was curious because we have done some podcasts from there. We've also done some meetings and everything from the Scott-Yarbrough House. And it's so cool and it's so beautiful. And I want to know how challenging it must be to keep that home intact with its rich history, but then also kind of keep it as a welcoming place where people would, want to come in. What is that, experience like trying to balance that too?
It's been really nice. So in 2015, we built a separate building. It's like our program building. So our offices are over there, and we have space to actually do programs there. And that kind of allowed us to use the house more for interpretation, for field trips. And it's our director's office as well over there. But just sort of having the stress of an office not being in there, I think, has really helped. We used to have our copy machine and all of the cords and everything that comes along with having a functioning office. So just kind of removing that and then just having it as a space where we can kind of tell the story of Auburn history has been really nice.
Is it open all the time for visitors, or how can people come and visit the house?
So we have self-guided tours. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Of course, Auburn University hours, so holidays, a lot of times we're closed. Occasionally there'll be meetings where it's closed. But for the most part, people can stop by for a self-guided tour, or they can email us for a guided tour, or if they want more information.
Okay, and do you have a website address that they can reach?
Yes, our website is auburn.edu/CAH, and if you go on there, you can read the whole history of Pebble Hill, and there's also a virtual tour if you don't want to drive to Auburn.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
great. That's great. Do you have any favorite artifacts in the house?
We have a really great collection of pottery,
Oh, yes.
of Southern pottery, a lot of Randolph County pottery, and my mom's family is from Randolph County, so
Nice.
it's really fun to have some of that in there.
So how did you acquire all that?
Through a man named Gary Price, who's in the sort of Southern folk pottery world,
Nice.
and we got connected to him through Joey Brackner, who is sort
Right.
of the expert on pottery in Alabama.
So when y'all first started there, was all of these artifacts already in place, or is this a project that you guys took on and solicited to get into the house?
We had a few pieces of furniture that had sort of been with the house when the center was founded in 1985 that people had donated. But then in 2015, when we kind of were reconfiguring the space, a lot of it came from our donor for the project. And so she provided a lot of the artwork and a lot of the furniture. But then we sort of keep acquiring different things,
Right.
either from donations. Our dear friends, the Robs, donated
yes.
a piece of art for there. The pottery we purchased. So we're just slowly but surely sort of adding different things that can help expand some of those stories.
Very cool.
That's really fascinating. So you have served with the City of Auburn's Historic Preservation Commission and the Alabama National Register Review Board. What got you involved with that?
So many years ago, I did a sort of workshop through the City of Auburn with the planning department. It was sort of like a citizens planning academy, and so just to get to know what planning looks like in the City of Auburn. This was during a time, a little over a decade ago, when it was kind of a hot topic in terms of the sort of growth and change that the city was experiencing. I mean, I'm sure y'all know they're in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
And so I was really interested in learning more, just to be a little more informed about it. And it was through that I found out about the Historic Preservation Commission. We have a very small historic district in Auburn, but the commission is responsible for overseeing that. And so I learned about that, and then a position opened up, and I was able to apply and get it. And then that sort of led into working a little bit the National Register Review Board. They needed some more board members for that. So it just sort of all kind of, snowballs into something.
And obviously it's translated into your work at Pebble
Absolutely.
Hill.
Yeah,
So can
yeah.
you expand a little bit about your work?
Yeah, so I'm the program manager, essentially. We're Center for Arts and Humanities, so we do programs in Auburn, but also around the state. We're sort of, as a land-grant college, we're like extension, but for arts and humanities. And so we're working with a lot of historical societies, small local museums, public libraries. But then we also manage this historic resource, the Pebble Hill, the Scott-Yarbrough House, that was built in 1847. And so through that, we're able to do programming related to historic preservation, related to the history of Auburn, just sort of pull all these different threads of the history of the house that can connect to many different things, and work a lot with fourth grade teachers in Auburn, because we all know fourth grade is when they learn Alabama history.
Oh, yeah.
But sort of how can we use those social studies standards to connect to local history so that students can experience something about the place that they live in, but still have it relate to the standards so that their teachers can actually teach it.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So with the Caroline Marshall Draughon Center, they always do such a great job with programming and everything. So what types of events do you guys have throughout the year? I know you've mentioned a few of them, and I've been down there for several
Yeah,
talks with authors and things like that, which has been fun.
We do a lot of book talks, either faculty at Auburn who have new books that come out, or just people in our historical community that have books that they want to share. I also run something called the Third Thursday Poetry Series.
Oh, nice.
So every month we have a different poet come in and have an open mic for the community to come and read their own poems. We do symposia occasionally. We have a program called the Draughon Seminars in State and Local History, and so we'll send a speaker off to do programs around the state, mostly focusing on public libraries. And so there's always something a little different. No day is ever the same.
Do you ever have weddings? I mean, are there weddings at especially the house?
We used to, yeah. We did when we kind of opened back up in 2015 when we had the new building, and then with the house, and that we have this beautiful courtyard that kind of connects the two.
Nice, yeah.
So we have had several weddings out there, but we're kind of getting out of the wedding business, mostly because it's a lot of work. Yes.
Yeah, the landscaping is beautiful too, because I know you guys had and you're going to have to talk about this a little bit, the gardens that are there and all of the plants. Yes, that's really cool.
And we really keep expanding that, sort of
Yeah.
trying to focus on native plants, on
It's beautiful.
William Bartram, and so
Yes.
what are plants that the Bartrams, what William Bartram wrote about in his travels.
Right.
We're adding some things recently for George Washington Carver, so how can we kind of interpret that history too? I think especially for kids to come in, when we do fourth grade tours, we do all of these sort of little areas that they kind of go around to do different things, and one of them we're sort of talking about naturalists, and can they be their own naturalist, and this is how they did it, but how are you going to go out and maybe look at a plant and draw it and discover it?
So with all the people who have come through, whether it's for events and programs that you're hosting, or people just touring the house, who is probably the most famous person that has come through?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I guess also it's a very subjective question, because what do you consider famous? So
True.
I mean, in your opinion.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we've had lots of authors, lots of poets.
You had a lot of politicians come through, like governors or anything like that. who
Or
have
football
visited.
coaches. Did you know
Or
this?
football
Yeah,
coaches,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Those
we
are popular in
We did
Alabama.
have some. Yeah, occasionally we'll pop through there. We did have several years ago. Some place on campus used our space to host the CIA director.
Oh, wow.
And so
Ooh.
all of our offices, they had to bring the bomb-sniffing dogs in to
Yeah.
scope out the whole place before. So I had a dog in my office for a little bit
Oh my
before
gosh.
she came out there.
Wow.
Did you feel
Yeah.
more secure in your office after that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I didn't think that was an issue, but
You never
I guess
know.
you never know.
Everybody's safe now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So, Maiben, you and I first met a few years ago at my very first AHA pilgrimage,
Yeah.
which was in Mentone, Alabama.
Yeah.
But then we got we got closer over the time, and now we're, friendly.
Yeah.
Friends. I like to call you a friend. So what exactly do you do for AHA?
So I'm the membership secretary, and so that entails all of the membership stuff. So sending out renewal notices, recruiting new members, and then just as a part of being an officer and working directly with our secretary, Mark Wilson, a lot of meeting planning. And so when it comes time for a meeting, it's I'm usually the one sitting behind the registration desk, greeting everyone and making sure that they've all got everything straight or they've paid up, and give them their name tag. And it's really the fun part, because I'm the one who gets to see everybody who comes through. And it's fun to see people year after year. The same people come back, and it's just
Well, I
such a
think
nice
it's cool
community.
too, because just in the time that I've been a member at AHA, we can see people bring their kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so it's really become a family institution. And watching them, you can see someone who, we'll just say with the last name Neely, and it's like, I know this whole family has been affiliated with this association, and it's just great to see. And I know that you probably watched people grow up through this organization.
It's
So,
fun.
well, you and I, we always spend a lot of time together at these different events, and I'm usually kind of, I don't know, like to hang out at the registration table, because that is where all the cool kids are. But you and I, we had some interesting stories. Like there was a pilgrimage where somebody leaned back on a fireplace and nicked his back, if you remember that, and was bleeding through his shirt. We had to go grab a Sprite or something to try and, take the blood off of his shirt and ask him if he needed stitches. I mean, it was just kind of a wild scene. So just as an event planner, I was just interested if you had other stories, like behind the scenes stories that, because people, I'll just say this
Spill the tea,
for our listeners, for you to know that when you come to a conference or you go to an event, it's so, you have no idea all the nightmare that goes on behind the scenes. And it's a lot when it comes to event planning and to get stuff organized and get people from point A to B. So Maiben is being very, I don't know, you do so much more than just sit at a registration table and
100%.
and
She
send
really
an email.
does.
You don't just send emails and hand out name tags. So do you have any kind of war stories or interesting things that maybe have happened that are quite memorable that you can share with our audience?
I have some, but I don't know if I can share.
Or you can solve the legend. Do we have to always go to a meeting in the north and then the south, or is this Dr. Bailey's, Phoenix City, Auburn kind of thing? Because that's been talked about. So how does that happen?
Interesting. I mean, we do try to kind of spread it around a little bit.
Right.
Be considerate of. We have a lot of members in Huntsville, North Alabama, a lot of members in Mobile and South Alabama, and so you want to make sure that not one group is doing the bulk of the driving year after year. You want to kind of spread it around a little bit, but then you're also trying to find a place that we haven't been to in a while that has the hotel space, the meeting space. That's sort of this kind of alchemy of things that have to come together to sort of make a good meeting. And in terms of stories, I feel like the one thing that I want people to know is that sometimes people will come up to me and they're embarrassed about something, or they forgot something, or they messed something up, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I say that, "Oh, well, you're not the first one to do this. You're not the only one to do this," and they don't believe me. But it really is true. I mean, no, you could do anything at this meeting, and it will not have been the first time that that's kind of happened.
How long have you been doing the meetings? You personally, how long have you been affiliated?
So I've been coming to AHA since Dothan. So that was 2013, maybe. And then I've been membership secretary since Mobile, so 2015, maybe. So about 10 years.
So about a decade,
at least. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I've seen everything that could possibly.
Is Dothan where we played trivia at that time?
That was Abbeville.
Oh, okay.
But we played it in
But
Dothan.
we were in Dothan.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
know we did play, because we were doing bicentennial
Yes.
trivia.
Yes.
And that was a lot of fun, and I
we
think we
won.
should bring that back.
That was before Caroline was a part of the
Yeah.
Alabama Heritage Team. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, so I think we should do those types of
That
things.
was a fun one, and and when we had the pilgrimage in Abbeville, and we did it at that place in Dothan, and I think we also might have done it in Auburn.
We did as well.
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So
that was
that's
a lot of
fun.
fun.
Okay, note to self.
Mhm.
So maybe tell Mark that since you guys really are the planning committee, that we want to have trivia again.
And we can't thank you enough for all that you do, Maiben.
Oh my gosh.
Just so you
Yes,
know,
so
you are
much.
my go-to person for all things AHA related. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Exactly. Well, tell us about your role and involvement with the Alabama Folklife Association and what that organization does.
Yeah, so it's such a great organization that really is trying to promote and preserve a lot of the rich folk life history that we have in Alabama. There's a great publication, Tributaries,
I
that
love
comes
that
out once
one,
a
yeah.
year. We have these Coffin Fellowships, so people who are doing folk life projects can apply for a grant to sort of help them. And the one condition of their grant is that they have to publish in Tributaries, which is sort of really fun to be able to see all these applications and then actually see all that research come to fruition. But Emily Blavas, who's the director, has
She's fantastic.
done really incredible things, and it's just always fun to get together. And I think there's a big overlap with kind of the AHA audience and then the folk life audience. But you kind of get into more of the arts scene.
Definitely.
And she's also
Yeah.
been doing a lot now with the Jewish folk life.
Yeah,
And so she even,
that.
Emily started a whole, group for that, so like a subset.
Just
And
spun
so
off.
it's been really great to be on some of the Zoom calls that they have. I think it's once a month maybe. but then just hearing about all the projects that people are working on throughout the state
Oh, yeah.
is just really fascinating. And what
Absolutely.
exactly do you do with the Folklife Association?
So I'm on the board, and I'm the vice president now.
Oh,
along with,
congratulations.
thank you.
Fancy.
The president is Sherry Williams, who
Okay.
works for the Ridge-Macon County Archaeology Project.
So does that mean you'll move up to president?
Eventually, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you can update my
Yeah.
bio.
Yeah, we'll put it on your LinkedIn.
That's so funny. Well, Maiben, we've enjoyed talking with you, but before you leave, we'd like to ask you a few more questions
All right.
as part of our Before You Go segment, where we get to know you just a little bit better and hope you will be willing to play along with us a little bit. So I have a question for you. If you had someone portray you in a movie, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Gosh, I've always had people tell me I kind of look like America Ferrera.
Yes.
Yeah,
You do.
I
Yes.
I
feel like
love
she
her.
would be.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
She's
That would be it.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That speech in Barbie was just
Oh my gosh, yeah.
amazing.
She would be perfect. Okay, so Maiben, would you rather be sunburnt on the lake covered in mosquito bites trying to kill a water moccasin with a flip flop, or clear out snow with a snow shovel while wearing a defibrillator, an oxygen mask, and a 911 call button attached? In other words, do you prefer sun or snow?
I mean, I feel like I don't love being sunburned, but I do feel like I've been in that situation more than I've probably been shoveling snow.
Sitting on the
with
lake trying to kill
defibrillator.
those big
Just-
mistakes.
Yeah, and the mosquitoes everywhere, and you're a little sunburned, and there's probably a snake out there. Yeah, I feel like that's happened.
That's just a very overwhelming question to be like, are you sun or snow?
I mean, are you sun or snow? But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, all the other things that come with it. So
That's
if you
true.
like snow,
Yeah.
you got to shovel snow, and
Gotta
that's
shovel
a
it.
hard
Yeah.
workout. But if you
Yeah.
like the sun, then you're going to be.
I mean, you
know,
could just wait for it to melt.
Susan with the life lessons that we all need.
There is that.
So Maiben, would you rather have unlimited coffee or unlimited snacks?
Oh, probably unlimited coffee, even though it's probably really bad to have all of that coffee on an empty stomach. But
It's still good.
Yeah, we
it's
live
so
off,
good.
we thrive off of
yeah,
coffee.
for sure.
Since our podcast is named
I
Coffee
mean,
and History,
like you
then
have to.
obviously we like coffee. So that was the right answer.
Exactly. Do you have a lucky number? And what is it and why?
Oh, I don't know if I do have a lucky number. I always, I probably shouldn't give this information away. My social security number is all divisible by 7. Like it's
Wow.
all kind of like there's
What?
a 7, and so yeah, I'm not gonna.
That's a
I'm
lot
not
of
gonna
math.
read my social security
Yeah,
number
yeah.
on the podcast, so I'll tell y'all afterwards. But it's how I
Crazy.
remember it. Is that it's all multiples of somehow it's all
That's so
related to
fun.
7.
That's
so.
a lot of math right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
and
love that,
I
though.
can't do math.
Me
But
and-
yeah, I can do this.
Divisible of 7. Okay, so do you prefer a digital planner or a paper planner?
I kind of do a hybrid. I used to be only paper, but really with work and the way that our workflow is, when we're a small staff, there's 3 of us, and we kind of live and die by our shared calendar.
Yes.
And so that's all on there. But I keep a sort of paper planner by my desk, and that's where I kind of put my to-do list and things that I kind of have to do, and then sort of refer to that. So
We're all the same way.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
we have a shared planner, but then we
Yeah.
all go to, the bookstore and buy a
There's
cool,
all-
cute
Yep.
little planner.
I also, I just like having the fun
I
planners
know.
and a
Yeah.
pen, just nothing.
And
I like
Yes.
pretty things, so
Yeah.
you know.
I'll remember it more if I
It's-
write it down.
Yeah.
That's exactly,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly why.
Definitely.
So, what's a new hobby you've picked up lately?
I did take a class, because it's been about a year ago, through the Parks and Rec Department, a pottery class,
Ooh.
and I loved it. I kind of want to go back and do more, because we have a brand new expansion to one of our art centers here that has like whole new pottery studio space, and so it's kind of a big thing in Auburn. There's a great local community of pottery folks, So yeah, that's been kind of fun.
That's
awesome.
really cool.
I will go
Yeah.
make pottery with you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but does it look good? I mean, I
It's
could say I'm a
made
potter,
with love.
but
I mean,
It's gonna
yeah.
be beautiful.
I'll
Look,
say.
you made it. It didn't fall apart. It's okay.
See, there's
it
some
holds water.
There's one. I have a couple of things that are actually on display in my house, and then
Aw.
several things that might be in a box somewhere that will probably never see the light of day. It's just
Mine would
kinda-
probably like be convex. I have to say. Concave.
That's called,
concave.
It's called modern
I'm
art.
not.
Exactly.
That's why
yeah.
I made plates, because it was less pressure than a bowl or a
Yeah.
cup. I made flat
something
surfaces.
flat. That's easy. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a saucer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's on your Spotify playlist or whatever streaming music service you like?
Oh, so I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, Wilco. These are all concerts
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to soon. There's an Australian band called Amel and the Sniffers. That's really great. I'm gonna go see soon. And then I feel like I sort of always have, like Beyonce and
Oh, yeah.
Aretha Franklin and
All the
yeah,
good
Otis
stuff.
Redding. Yeah, there's always kind of a very eclectic mix.
Yeah.
Goes from like Jason Isbell, Sturgill Simpson to like
Yeah.
Glorilla. I mean, just like you kind of never know. Yeah, there's always
I
going
love
to be
it.
something different.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Okay, how about this? Spicy or mild?
I like spicy.
Same.
I like that.
Yep. Okay, so did you live up to your 5-year-old self's goals or dreams?
Oh, I mean, I think so in that, I can go eat ice cream whenever I want. I mean, in terms
Was
of
that your
Five-year-old Maiben is
Yeah.
proud of
Exactly.
current Maiben, right?
Truly, yeah. I don't even know as a 5-year-old what I kind of thought being an adult would be like, but I feel like, I probably nailed it, hopefully.
I'm sure.
I thought
I
it was
feel
going
like
to be
you could.
Indiana
Like
Jones.
your 5-year-old self definitely
Thank
approves
you.
of where you're
Thank
at
you.
now.
I mean, I don't have bangs. I think that's the one thing when I was 5. I kept trying to cut my own bangs, so it's
I
probably for
still
the
have
best.
bangs. My mom
Same.
my mom cut my hair when I was 4 years old. She gave me bangs, and I've had them ever since. I try to grow them out, but then I feel like my forehead is more of a 5 head, so I just can't.
I like
just,
I like that my bangs cover up, anything that is not flattering that day.
Yeah.
So
like that.
I'm a fan of bangs
Maybe
personally.
one day. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to it.
Well, Maiben, we want to thank you for being our guest today. We absolutely adore Maiben Beard.
We do.
So thank you for joining us, and we want to thank you, our listeners and our viewers, for joining us for this edition of Coffee and History, a conversation with Alabama Heritage. You can find our podcast on our website at alabamaheritage.com, where you can subscribe to our magazine. We're a quarterly magazine, so don't forget, you can subscribe and give it as a gift, alabamaheritage.com.
It really is the perfect gift because it's a gift that gives 4 times a year.
Forever,
Yeah.
actually, because our content never goes out of style, honestly. So
It's the best gift I
And you
give my
can-
family.
And you can find our podcast wherever you find your podcast, and you can also visit our YouTube channel where you can see our extended video versions. So we'll see you next time, but for now, I need more coffee. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye.